Adobe's just dropped another update to Lightroom, but this is huge. I would say even bigger than the one they did a month ago. Because there's one feature we've been asking for forever, and that's a duplicates finder. And then there's 5 other really big features that I'm going to go into. You're going to see some things here that you're not going to see on some of the other videos, because we're going to dive a little bit deeper on a couple of these. So let's jump in right now. Lightroom just got a big update with some really important new features. Let me show you how to update. So first thing you'll see is a Creative Cloud. Normally you'll see a little red dot, means there's new things in there. But let's click on there. And then what you want to do is you want to go to Apps. And then at the top, you'll see Updates. Now, if you're on Windows, you'll probably see the little icon at the bottom rather than at the top. So before you even upgrade anything, what you want to do is choose Check for Updates. And then what this is going to do is it's going to ping the server and bring down the very latest updates, because they could be in the cloud, but they are not showing in your app yet. And this will give you the very latest. So we're going to scroll down. We're going to look for Lightroom Classic, and we can see Update. Just click Update. And then when it's ready, you'll see it down the bottom. It shows some of the new features here, but this one will require a catalog update. So let's just choose Open. So this is going to launch it. Your previous catalog is not going to be deleted. It's still going to be here. It's going to be put inside a zip file in case something goes wrong. You ever need to restore it. And then we can just choose Upgrade. And it doesn't take very long. And it's going to upgrade quickly. And then it's going to launch. But let's not bury the lead. The most important new feature, as far as I'm concerned, is something we've been waiting for years in Lightroom. Yes, finally, we have duplicate detection. And you'll see this button here. We're going to start finding duplicates. Once you push the button to activate the Find Duplicates, it'll go into Duplicate View. It will scan your catalog and it will look for duplicates. But this is not just based on file names. It's actually using AI to analyze the images and find identical or very similar images. And then what it does is it places them into stacks. So say, for example, we have this one here. If I click on it, we can see there's the duplicates underneath the stack. Now, here's where it gets kind of interesting. If you want to remove it, we can right click and we get to choose Remove Duplicates. Now it's going to remove all the duplicates. In this case, there's just one, but I'm going to choose, okay, let's remove it. Now, this is where it gets important. And be very careful about this. So we have the option to remove it from Lightroom. So this means that we can go in and we can remove all the duplicate views from Lightroom, and they're going to stay exactly where they are. We don't delete anything. It's just going to stop us seeing those duplicates inside of Lightroom. The second option is delete from disk. And that means it's actually going to delete that duplicate from your machine. Now, here's my problem with this. It doesn't show the path. So what you need to do is right click, and I'm going to choose Show in Finder. And I can see that this is in a folder called Photos to Show. And this is a folder where I take the best photos that I want to put on my phone so people can kind of see it, but this is separate from their original location. If I right click on the duplicate, we can see where this is. Show in Finder. So I can see the whole path here, and this is under my photos folder, but it's also under the speaking, which means that I've got a separate set of photos that I use for my source files when I'm doing presentations. So when I'm going in here, it's like, which ones do I want to delete? I actually don't want to delete either of those from the disk. I actually want to keep them. So in this case, if I was to right click and choose Remove Duplicates, I can click OK, and I would say Remove from Lightroom. So now I would only be viewing one. You're not going to see it right now because we're in Duplicates view, and that duplicate is gone. And so if the strategy is to minimize all the previews in Lightroom, touch nothing on your disk, and just get a nice clean running Lightroom, that might be a good way to do it. If the strategy is to use this to actually clean up your system, what you don't want to do is go in here, choose Remove Duplicates, and then Remove from Lightroom. Because the reason is, if I remove this from Lightroom, what it's doing is I'm not going to be able to find it again when I go in here. So I want to be aware of these. So what I'm going to have to do in this case, and I'm going to have to look at their paths in here. So the way to make this more useful for me would be to go to the View, choose View Options. So if we go under the grid view, and we can show the overlays here. So one of the things I might want to show is folder. And now we can actually see the folders that these are in. So when we go back to our duplicates view, now I can click and I can see, okay, this one's under New York. This one is under uncategorized. And this is going to inform your decision a lot better what you can get rid of. And there's also a new panel for background syncing, because as you know, a lot of things can happen in the background so we can keep working. And you'll notice this little icon. If we click on the icon, you can see certain things are running or paused. So we can do assisted culling, address lookup, face detection, duplicate detection, all of that can run in the background. If you want to free up resources, you can just hit the pause and that will pause that process, and then you can come back to it later when you want to continue. Like maybe I want to continue with the face detection now. I can continue there, or I can continue all of this. Okay, this next feature I'm really excited about. Okay, so if we go in and we want to do some masking, there's been a big improvement on select subject. So let's go to the develop module, and then we're going to go under the mask, and instead of choosing people, because we'll see, see how the hair is not going to be perfect. See the feathers on there are not going to be perfect. In fact, why don't I do the person so we can look at it? We'll just do the entire person, create a mask. All right, and let's create another mask, and this time we're going to choose select subject. And we're going to be able to compare it. So let's look at the select subject. So if we want to look at the mask, we're going to change our overlay here. So we're going to change our overlay to white on black. And then we can see the edges of the hair. Feathers, it's kind of got all of that. And let's hide that mask. And now we're going to look at mask 1, which is select person. See how kind of fuzzy it is around the edges. Hide that, go back to this mask. Much better. And let me just put it to normal so you can see the adjustments. So let's just change it to the regular color overlay. Let's zoom into 100. And look at the edges around the hair. Wow, that's really good. Definitely a huge improvement. Let's hide that mask. And let's go to the person mask. And if we look at this, yeah. See those fringes around the edge there? It's not getting all the hair. It's jaggy. Definitely a huge improvement. That one is a winner. And let's hope that that technology makes its way into all the other masks eventually. I'm sure it will. Here's another great new feature. If you're on an Apple Silicon device, M1 or above, the AI denoise, the speed has increased. So here's a photograph that is shot at ISO 25,000 for whatever reason. And notice it's very, very noisy. So let's go to the develop module. We're going to go to detail and we're going to turn on denoise. And you can see it's applying up the top here and boom. See how fast that applied compared to the past. And as you can see, significant difference. But here's another thing that's nice. As we adjust this, so as you can see, we can adjust this in real time, dial in the exact amount of denoise that we want to use much quicker. Another big improvement is assisted culling. Notice right now it doesn't show early access anymore. That means it's out of beta and it's actually in full release now. So if we go under here, there's a big update, and one of them is when we do the eye focus or the eyes open. So now it can actually go into the group and do the individual photos in there, and we can see this one where her head's turning, and you can see that that one's being rejected. So we can do multiple people in there. Makes this so much better. And so we have some new filtering. If you want to see the filter at the top, just hit the backslash key on the keyboard. We'll show and hide. So we hit the backslash key to get it into the filters. Then we choose metadata. Then under here, we can change the attributes. And then if we go down to develop, notice that we can see we now have AI. So it has AI, has generative AI, needs an AI update, AI edit, or AI edit requiring update. So we can just choose all the AI ones. And then when we do that, we can say yes. All right, so if we can see this one here, let's double click on it. And let's see what was happening. We go under the develop module. And notice we've got the highlighting of the tools that are being used. Let's click on the remove tool. And if we hit the backslash key, we can see before, after, and if I roll over here, yeah, we can see we use the AI tool here to remove that light stand. Now, if you're working between a Lightroom Classic and Lightroom and you have some images synced, in the past you were not able to sync your keywords. So notice I've added keywords on all my images here. And so there's a new feature. So if we go under Preferences, and then under Preferences, go to Lightroom Sync, and then you have the option to sync keywords. So you could turn that on, and this will start to sync those keywords. Next new feature is brush performance. If you're like me and you do a lot of dodging and burning, potentially this could be a really big feature. So right now I have the previous version installed, and we're going to have a look at the brush, and then we'll compare it inside the latest update. So we're going to go under the mask, and we're going to choose a brush. All right, so let's see what happens here. Not trying to get this perfect, I just want to kind of see how the performance goes. So I'm going here, it's a little bit laggy. Always has been. The particular system I'm working on is not too bad. I've got a pretty powerful Mac system, but as you can see, that's pretty much what we're used to. Okay, let's compare the brush to the new versions. We're in 15.4. So let's go to the mask. We're going to create a brush. Okay, so let's paint. And so I'm painting here. Okay, so it does feel a little bit smoother. So I'm using an Apple M2 Ultra with 128 gigs of memory, so it's pretty fast already. I'm not really noticing much lag on either version, so I'd be curious how it performs for you. And another less obvious feature is Adobe has updated the tethering for Canon cameras right now. What they've done is they've built their own tethering engine. So in the past, they had to use the API from the different manufacturers, which means that they would have to wait for them to add features or updates, add new cameras, different things like that. So far, Adobe's built out the new one for Canon, which means it's not dependent on Canon's API anymore, so they can do updates whenever they want. So that should mean faster updates. So let me know in the comments underneath which of these new features is your favorite and which one do you think you'll use the most. And if you want to know how to get your masks even better inside of Lightroom, check out this video here that I just did. And if you're new, welcome to the cafe. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, and you won't miss any of these weekly tutorials, which is going to get you up to speed in Photoshop and Lightroom. All right, thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.